Okay. Well, she's not gonna be there. Yeah. I'll put it in her mailbox. Okay. Yeah, 'cause she out of town. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's going on? Did somebody call
Hey
you?
James, there are times I watch America's Funniest Videos. I wouldn't be surprised when they put that video with the black cat on the rope.
Yeah.
I
It probably will.
think she just got what she needed.
We're gonna go straight to the bank and see.
I did not know. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know.
They say he's not coming today.
The vet in Flurry,
Oh, ain't no that.
yeah.
What is it, Florida's, temperature is 120.
Pretty high for
Oh, really? I missed it, I didn't see it. Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
But I had taken it back.
All right.
Yeah, it'd just take me a minute. I'll do it next week.
What about the, Lori, how you doing?
Let you tell me my outlook determines something. Ain't that what something? So I'm just gonna say it's all right.
I didn't quite understand. Tell me again. I'm only
I was telling you, I didn't say it too loud. I was telling you that I'm gonna buy you that man has.
If you do that, I'm about to go.
And they were coming from the cat, and then they they said the three, the two, with the end zone touchdown. Then the
No,
Cowboys,
we vote, the motion to adopt and we vote no.
When I was coming around the corner, the first thing that I sat on, I said, what?
I'm not like ready to shuffle, but I did.
Okay, somebody talk to you about that executive session.
And then I went by the sheriff's place and they gave me gloves. Not only that, but I got a little junior sheriff's.
It's on the,
There's one in McPherson. She gave me a smiley button. And then I went to the circus. I went to the circus, and then this woman is jump roping, and here come two dogs jump rope with her, and little poodle goes right up a ladder on his own.
That's impressive.
Oh, no, okay.
How you doing?
And then when we get to the end, we need to, because we won't go into executive session.
Going up 371. Go
Right now.
go past the beat. You'll see that. You'll see a little bit of national paper on the left. Come in. Some whole bit of national paper on the left. Okay, and then after you pass that, go past the Walmart. After Walmart, there'll be a McDonald's and a car dealership. There'll be a red light there. Okay. Go to the next red light. That's the high school, that's the church. It's like, take a right there and see, what is it called? It's on the right hand side. Right, take a right.
That's what I told the Douglas to say fair too. Well, I told the duck to eat a box of I told the duck to eat a box of crackers. Well, I told the duck to eat a box of crackers. But I really had a good time out there. Otherwise, I had a chance to go to the exam.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll have to add it, Okay. It's on the corner of North Arkansas, which is 371.
This yellow, and this, and that's not all. Thing is, I got a yellow family bag from Honda McPherson talking about footwear for $908 to $2,000. I got a junior bag from the sheriff's department. I had to go down
Okay.
That's why I had to play by ear to know what I was going to do.
You should, right? Yeah.
I barely even hear because it's like,
What's this being used in there?
The two of us don't like much of your pictures.
No.
Like it's worth the effort.
why
Yes, I have that information for y'all. Okay. Okay. It's good for me. No, I don't think we'll be able to practice.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna.
I have been.
How you doing, man? Happy birthday.
That's an easy.
Relax.
That was it.
Well, you know what?
I'm trying to take care of all of them, but you know, hey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Kill all the fun in your life.
They said she was a Scrooge. Yeah, that's it. Right for the holidays.
And yeah, every time you say well to eat,
Right for the holidays. I ain't want to.
Wait, what?
I ain't worried about nobody. Shit, I'm good. I know. Oh, just had to wait.
So 165.
I don't need it, but I mean,
Maybe he doesn't understand.
We both know.
to uphold. To uphold the FPC. So it'll be a.
No, we both
It'll be a
know.
no. They are appealing.
I didn't think they were gonna be.
Art said there was no appeal. Art said we both know. Okay, somebody needs to make sure.
You make sure.
I got that right.
What is it? What is it?
65. Art said you both know.
No, it's not appeal. Okay, you're right. It's not appeal. Okay.
You vote yes?
No, he said no.
We need to vote against it.
Okay, so no.
Yeah, no.
Hang on, I obviously need to.
Because they don't want
An ordinance to amend the zoning map.
I mean, whatever.
Shreveport Unified Public Schools.
We do have.
Yeah, it's a no vote, John.
Okay.
Because it's on the bill.
I'm turned around.
Did that make sense?
I didn't talk to her today. She called.
They voted. Well, you got voted.
Are you doing me? She's like 84.
Chip it out.
he said we did, but it's something right there. She gonna post it too.
The meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now being called to order. We will have our invocation by Councilman Green, and Councilman Bradford will lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you stand, please?
Thank you, God, for this day, and thank you for another opportunity to be servants. We would carry this meeting out in a Christ-like manner, and when it's all over, we give you the praise and we give you the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's face the flag and in unison say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilwoman Fuller. Councilman Nicholson.
Present.
Councilman Busher.
Here.
Councilman Flores. Councilman Green.
Here.
Councilman Bowman.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
That's from the October 21st and October 22nd meeting. No discussion, please vote. Special.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Nicholson.
I'd like to invite Mr. Martinez and Ms. Posada to come forward from the NLEP.
Thank you so much, Councilman Nicholson. Thank you for having me here, Chairman Bowman, Mayor Perkins, and administration. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak before you this afternoon. As you are aware, the City of Shreveport has been a significant investor and partner with the North Louisiana Economic Partnership since its inception. We cover 14 parishes, but our main office is here in Shreveport, in Regents Tower in downtown Shreveport, and with lots of staff that are residents of the City of Shreveport. So what you have before you today is an update of our activities to date as it relates to Caddo Parish and the City of Shreveport. To date, we have submitted 60 projects for consideration for Caddo Parish and some in the City of Shreveport. We've had some success so far this year with Super ATV. I know Councilman Bowman, you were at that grand opening, and the 75 new jobs in our community. They rehabbed a building that had been out of commerce for quite a while and really put some energy back into that building. We continue to show large projects to the city of Shreveport and neighboring areas, such as the former GM plant. We stay actively engaged with the ownership and the leaseholder of that property and showing that property to clients from all over the world. We're seeing a lot of activity in customer contact centers in the city of Shreveport. We've had a significant one look at the city of Shreveport within the last 30 days. We're down to the final 3 on that particular project, and we continue to be engaged in workforce development. Frymaster hosted the statewide kickoff of Louisiana Manufacturing Week and the Dream It, Do It initiative, and Secretary Pearson was here on behalf of Governor Edwards to present a proclamation kicking that off in the state of Louisiana. We continue to go outside of the market to show that Shreveport and North Louisiana is a profitable place to do business. Last week, for instance, Sheena Bryant was in Dallas visiting with site consultants and industrial brokers. And some of I'm going to show you a video here momentarily, but we're showing properties here in the community. With our proximity to Dallas, we still feel like that's a strong opportunity for growth and as a good source for leads. I've been to Milwaukee, I've been to Dallas. Next week I'll travel to Chicago and Columbus, Ohio, marketing our region to site consultants from around the country. We also worked with Ternium on their ITEL proposal at the port. That represents a $14 million investment, and we really were the liaison between the parish and the company, as well as the school board and the sheriff's office in that $14 million industrial tax exemption program exemption. And we'll have 2 more exemptions at the December meeting for projects in the city of Shreveport at the December Board of Commerce and Industry meeting in Baton Rouge. So we continue to see growth in the city. Also, tomorrow we'll be hosting with our Tech by 20 group, an IT symposium at the Shreveport Convention Center. And we had a goal of 150 attendees, and it looks like we'll probably exceed that goal and hit 175 employees. Mayor Perkins, I know you're going to participate in a panel discussion on diversity in cybersecurity, along with President Gallo from Grambling State University. That's the only HBCU that has a cybersecurity program. As we were putting that program together, it was pretty apparent that that sector wasn't as diverse and really reflective of our population here in North Louisiana. With Grambling and some other assets here, we thought it would be a great opportunity to showcase our diversity in our sector and try to get growth in the IT sector. We've also begun an initiative of developing marketing materials for our certified sites. We've done 2 in the city of Shreveport. I'm going to show you one that we recently completed for the North Shreveport Industrial Park. This park is jointly owned by the city of Shreveport and the parish of Caddo, and it's really been kind of overlooked in the past when it's come to submitting it for consideration to industrial clients, but has some assets that I think make it a very viable site for industry. It has Kansas City Southern Railroad. It's close to the intersection of I-49 and 220. It's close to Southern University Shreveport, as well as the KCS rail yard. So there's lots of amenities in that proximate area that make it attractive. So I'm going to share with you a video that we prepared and that we're using in some of our marketing efforts for that specific property. Also, we've completed one recently for the I-20 Greenwood Road site here in Shreveport as well. Proximity to economic development, complementary items such as the port, such as the airport, such as our interstate highway system, such as our educational institutions, as well as other things that really, I think, puts this site in context to someone considering it for a business location. Of course, we use drone videography and some other things, and our goal is if we've got someone that's considering this specific property, I can send them a YouTube link and they can actually see it from their desktop. I don't have to send them a jump drive or any sort of disk or anything of that nature, I can actually link this and they can see it from their desktop before they even visit the market. And again, we want to be very quantitative in showing those physical attributes of the site and things that I think are important to industry when they're considering things. So the railroad is becoming more and more important in Kansas City Southern, and Chris Carucci, that's based in Kansas City, that does their industrial development, has been a great partner and really wants to see us develop this site and get more rail customers, obviously, for his business, but also, the goal is to get people, from our perspective, jobs where they can support themselves and their families. That's really, we can go beyond our mission and some of the things we do. The ultimate goal is so people can live in Shreveport, they can have a job that's meaningful to them, and they can support their families with that job. That's the ultimate goal of everything NLEP does, is to make sure that our residents have opportunities here to support themselves and have a better life for themselves and their family. Again, this has been well received. We showed this product last week in Dallas, and I'll be showing it next week when I travel to the Midwest. But we do lots of things. That's just one element of the marketing that we do. We also, when we have, I'll just say Chinese clients in town, we've got a great partnership with LSUS and Dr. Lin out there. And Larry Clark basically lets Dr. Lin join our team while we have those Chinese clients in town. So we've got some great partnerships in the region, not only with LSUS, but also anytime we need anyone from the city of Shreveport or the parish of Caddo or Dr. Gorey at the school system with their team, Southern University Shreveport, they all come to the table and want to help us achieve our mission of getting more people employment and better jobs here. Again, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for the resources that y'all provide to us that we're able to leverage with other folks and perform our mission.
All right, thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Martinez.
you. Y'all have a great day.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Martinez, before you leave. Well, being adjacent to my district, I'm excited about this proposed expansion of that park. Very underutilized over the years. I think there's only like 2 or 3 industries up in there. Mm-hmm. Infrastructure is well, it's really ready for the development. And I appreciate you making that a target area for growth. But let me ask you, and you mentioned when you started some relationships. Can you speak on your relationship with the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce?
We actually grew out of, one time, probably over a decade ago, the Economic Development Department that eventually evolved into the North Louisiana Economic Partnership was part of the Greater Shreveport Chamber of Commerce. We have a working, what I would consider a very congenial, positive working relationship with Dr. Magner and the Greater Shreveport Chamber, as well as the African American Chamber and the other chambers in the area like the Bossier Chamber. They've done some very, from our perspective, positive things. As far as with their advocacy programs, they've tried to be a liaison with some of the issues and try to find solutions to some of the issues that are present in our community. Whether it's with planning and zoning to other things, I think they've played a pretty valuable role. But it's been very, from my perspective, very positive. And I would think if you asked Dr. Magner, he would say the same thing.
And I tend to, but it seems that you are more accessible from my perspective in promoting this region, this city, this parish. But I just wanted to make sure that there is some camaraderie within the promotion. We got to promote and grow our economy here.
There definitely is. Their role is somewhat different than ours. We're we're doing economic development. You know, our focus is projects and public policy. You know, we want to make sure to the degree we can that we promote good public policy, whether it's, you know, a bond proposal that's on the ballot Saturday, to other things that, from my perspective, are very positive, even though, you know, that's just my perspective. But it's been very, from my perspective, positive with the Shreveport Chamber. Their role's different than ours. They've been very involved with PTAC and some of the government procurement. They've done some very good things as far as early childhood education that don't necessarily, that's very important, but they have a more direct role in that than perhaps we do.
And the port is continually developing?
The port is, we actually, Ms. Busada was actually at Bentler, I guess this past week with an existing industry visit along with LED, and Ms. Dudley, who was on our staff, is now on that staff, making sure that we were in front of them to see if there was any issues and any way we can accommodate their growth. We want to make sure we do that with Bentler or Teleperformance, who we also have met with in the past week. Want to make sure that we're doing those things as well.
Great. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all's leadership and your commitment to the community.
That's it, Councilman?
Yes, thank you, sir.
All right. Any other council person? All right. I just wanted to say to Mayor Perkins, we want to extend our condolences to you and your family for the death that you all have incurred. And I think he was a great man and a good role model. So we just want to pass it on to you.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Councilman Green.
Also, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to commend you on your big time award that you went on last week. I believe that was New York, right?
Chicago.
Chicago.
And then went to New York for another speaking event afterwards.
Would you just elaborate on that for a minute?
Yeah, I won the Pat Tillman Impact Award for this year. They awarded to a scholar and another person that has national acclaim for some reason. So it was myself and the late Senator John McCain. So my mother and I got to spend the afternoon with Cindy McCain, the wife of the late senator. Really enjoyed our time there, and I was able to give a speech where I talked a lot about Shreveport in front of an audience all the way in Chicago. Talked about my commitment to Shreveport, and I received the award. And then on Sunday, I flew to New York, where they opened up the National Veterans Resource Center and spoke again about Shreveport and my time as a veteran. So a lot of travel this weekend, and always got Shreveport on my heart. So it's pretty good opportunity, and I'm honored to be asked to go to those things.
Any autographs or anything?
No, I was sitting beside the McCaskey family that owns the Chicago Bears was at our table, and he was trying to recruit me to be a Bears fan, which was crazy. But no, and I didn't ask him for his autograph either. He knew I was a Saints fan through and through, and I stuck to it.
No, I was meaning, no, you doing autographs.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I need your autograph, Councilman.
Mr. Chairman, I'll join Councilman Green in congratulating Mayor Perkins on his receipt of that award. The occasions on which a local elected official from Shreveport will be honored in that manner likely will be few, and so I appreciate that you were recognized in that manner and that you took that opportunity to serve as an ambassador for our city. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you for your commitment to service, my friend. If no other council member has anything, Mayor Perkins, you have any awards or distinguished guests at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to join the chorus of applause for Dr. Lamar Gorey and the Caddo Parish Schools on their accomplishment of the district doubling the number of schools growing by a letter grade while becoming the highest performing large school system in the state of Louisiana. Caddo is one of only 2 districts in Louisiana to improve in all 9 categories of student performance assessed by the state. I would also like to applaud the area schools and centers recognized for the early childhood education honor roll. Education is heading in the right direction here in Shreveport, and I'm proud to be a product of our public school system. Today, Dr. Gorey is being honored in Washington, D.C. as Louisiana's Superintendent of the Year. I want to also remind everyone of our public budget review sessions that will be held here on the 2nd floor of Government Plaza from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. November 14th and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday, November 15th. In preparation for the upcoming 2020 census, legislation has been submitted to ask the council to form a Citizens Complete Count Committee. The committee will work in subcommittees to assist with disseminating census information to the public. The subcommittees are healthcare and education, government, communities and neighborhoods, faith-based and nonprofit organizations, business and industry, public relations and marketing, and census facilities and digital access. We request that each council member appoint one member to each subcommittee. Please begin to think of who would be a good fit for each subcommittee. We request all names be submitted to the CAO no later than Friday, November 15th. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Chip Taylor in the audience. Mr. Taylor, would you like to come and say a few words?
First of all, I want to say good afternoon. I've been taught by my grandmother that before you do or say anything, you got to give proper respect. And I just want to thank the mayor for his leadership in allowing the 2020 census to go forward as it has been. For each member of the council who has been in support of us, we thank you. And I got to give a special thanks to your CAO, Ms. Jones, for her outstanding leadership in taking this by the horns. Now, you say, well, why is all of this important? Quite frankly, there is over $675 billion that will be distributed throughout the country for the next 10 years. Depending on the count that you have in Shreveport, in the parish, will determine how much of that money you get, how big of a piece of the pie you retain. And it's very important that we understand this. The purpose of the CCC committee, and sir, I'm not going to be before you long, but the purpose of the CC committee is to take individuals from the community, your business leaders, as well as your community leaders, your faith leaders, bring them together so that they can make sure that everybody is counted. Because you are trusted voices in the community. I'm a pastor. I'm trusted within my church. Within Full Gospel, they trust me. As soon as I say I work for the government, all of a sudden that trust factor changes, okay, immediately. So we've had to figure out a way to go to the trusted voices in the community, such as President Emeritus or Pastor Emeritus, as I would say, Blake, for his leadership. My state bishop, Dr. Anthony Grant, for his leadership. Because I've gone to them, they've agreed to help in every way they can. But the CCC committee is so very important. So on the 5th, I've gotten the okay date that we will hold CCC training. We will give you the tools that are needed in order to make sure that everybody is counted. And it's just that simple. There are jobs available. Now, I know that a lot of folks in Shreveport are independently wealthy, so you guys don't worry about jobs, but we have over 3,500 jobs that will be available in our community. They will start hiring come January. But what we need is for people to go online and apply. We have representatives from the census who have joined us today. Billy has come with us, as well as Dr. Carolyn Townsend, to help in that process. So it's quite frank that we need to be counted. Now, that's the bottom line. So I thank Ms. Jones for her leadership. I got to give props to my colleague Darryl Joy, who started with this program as a member with the census. She's now running for, I believe, representative, state rep, so she can no longer work for us. But she initiated the contact here with this. So again, all I can say is if you want your share of the pie, make sure that everybody is counted. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Councilman
Pastor
Green.
Taylor.
Pastor Chip,
Councilman Green.
would you give me your contact phone number? Give me your number.
My contact phone number is area code 985-634-4833.
Thank you.
You can contact me at any time. And we had asked for a resolution as well, which I believe we're gonna
The agenda today.
get that. Okay, so,
It's on for today.
It's on the agenda.
see, and that's the kind of people that we deal with up here. They take care of business. And I just want to say, and I know our personal privilege, Mr. Willie Bradford I've worked with for years, for the last 20 years, and he knows my heart, just like I know his. And what we are doing is so very important. We talk about there's no jobs available. Folks, 3,500 jobs available. We just need people to fill those positions. Thank you.
So Taylor, can you give us the website that people can go to apply for those jobs?
The website. See, I'm ready. Our website, that if you are interested in a job, is 2020census.gov/jobs. I repeat, that's the number 2020 census, census.gov/jobs. And I believe the representatives from the census are right over here. And if you need more information, they can help you. One more time, 2020 census.gov/jobs. In fact, my brother, you can have that. Thank you, sir. Okay? Because we do have, and they're not cheap paying jobs either, folks. I believe they start, what, Billy, is about $15 an hour in this parish? And you can work as many hours as you so desire, up to 40. So we need your assistance. Any other questions? Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, Pastor Taylor, for what you're doing. And speaking of everybody, counting everybody, I also want to encourage everybody to vote. For all of those who do not have the opportunity to get out and vote early, I would like to encourage you to get out on November 16th, the actual voting day, election day. As a reminder, you also find that we have the bond proposal on the ballot as well on that day. I would like to thank the Mayor's Task Force and the Human Resources Department for working together to put on our annual employee appreciation and health fair. We had about 400 employees to come out and eat and get their flu shots. Additionally, I want to recognize, we have our Fall Leadership Academy class in the audience today. Could you all stand up? All right, thank you so much. They learn skills through our Human Resources Department to help them improve on their current jobs and positions them for the next level of leadership. So these are city employees that are going above and beyond and preparing themselves for a future leadership position. So thank you for being here and thank you for volunteering to step up. I also want to thank the council members who attended the mayor's prayer breakfast last week. It is always great when we can put partisanship aside and unite in prayer for the good of our city. Next year, the event will be held in Shreveport. Lastly, when the Shreveport Garden Study Club learned of our beautification project here at Government Plaza, they wanted to extend our partnership by donating funds. Their generous donations of $15,000 will underwrite the cost for the plants and for the landscaping. We are very grateful for your gift, And at this time, I would like to recognize Marty Lipo and Susan Hartner and have them come up and make their presentations.
Good afternoon. Mayor Perkins, Chairman Bowman, other distinguished members of the council. My name is Marty Lipo, and it is my pleasure, along with other members of our club, to present this check to you for $15,000 for the beautification of Government Plaza. The Shreveport. The Shreveport Garden Study Club has a long history of partnership with the city with regard to our project at the Greenwood Cemetery. We are honored to participate in this way, and again, we thank you so much for your partnership. Thank you.
Did you need to take the check with you, or you gonna leave it?
You saw me holding on to it so tight. I wanted to make sure that we kept it.
I wanted to make sure you leave it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments for today.
All right. Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday there was some discussion about moving the 26th meeting to the 21st or 22nd, I believe. I sent a memo concerning that. If there is any motion to suspend the rules to change the date, this would be a good time to do it so that perhaps we can get the resolutions advertised.
I will make that motion.
And I second.
And what is the date? Both of those dates or one of those dates for?
I'm gonna do both of them on one day, like the 21st, 22nd. We do them both on the 21st, 22nd. Which one is that Thursday?
21st.
21st. That's fine.
So Thursday, the 21st.
Thursday, 21st. No discussion, please. Councilman Bradford, that's fine.
I have no problem with that, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make clear on when do we need to have legislation presented to the council for the agenda.
Well, probably Tuesday.
By week from today?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And that motion carries with 5 and 2 absent. Thank you. For those who in the audience who didn't know, we just moved the date for the next meeting for the 21st. It'll be the 21st instead of the next Thursday. It'll be, Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. It'll be just on the 21st at 3.
And the reason, Mr. Chairman, was because of the holiday.
Because of the holiday.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then we have to go back, and will we go back and have to change that for next year so it won't stay that way, or?
Well, we can decide that later.
Okay. All right. Anyone have anything relative to property standards for Mr. Harris?
I just wanted to confirm the sweep is still on for in the morning?
Still on at 8 o'clock.
Okay. Now the weather says 25 degrees. Is that okay?
All right, thank you. We'll be looking forward to seeing you. Mr. Harris, real quick, just while you have your guys out over around Gideon and Palestine over in that area, I've been getting some complaints about some houses that have been boarded up for quite some time. I have not had a chance to go over there yet, but I plan to this week and look and try to get some specific addresses. But one, the lady said the house had been burned up for quite a while, and there's some people coming in and out of them. So I know it's on Gideon, but I'll try to get you a cross street.
Okay.
She was supposed to send me an email, but she never did, so.
And Mr. Harris, while you're up here, east of Herndon, to the east of Erie Drive is an access point to Caddo Magnet High School. And between Caddo Magnet and Erie, there has been some dumping of appliances on the south side of that road. So if you just sweep that area, I'd appreciate it.
Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. All right. We should have received, I think we all got our collection revenue plan. We got our information from Ms. City Attorney.
Yes, sir.
And we have a public hearing today?
We have the 2020 budget.
2020 budget, okay. And this public hearing is not being called to order. Does the administration have a presentation?
We gave our presentation October the 8th.
That was the one that we got,
If there are
okay.
any questions, we can answer them.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor or for, or against? Mr. Kent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Mayor Perkins. And thanks to all our veterans for yesterday. And Coach Orgeron is at 95% in the latest governor's poll. Public hearing on the 2020 budgets. Ken Krepp, 157 Archer, Shreveport, 71105. This is the 38th time I've testified at a public hearing on a budget. I like it. It's 5% down expenditure-wise. That's what happens when revenues are not there. Should number 3 pass Saturday, which I think it will, we should increase engineering, construction, and design fees about $300,000, about $25,000 a month, but only after we sell bonds to generate revenue so Patrick's people can get cranking. Right now it's about where it should be, but it should go up, and there's always the option for this group and the mayor to do a debit and a credit vis-a-vis the operating budget reserve and the sales tax. If you go down $300,000 on the sales tax estimate, you practically either cut or you decrease the operating budget reserve. I'm very partial to the operating budget reserve, having proposed it in April of 1980, before your time, but it needs to get itself back up when we can. And 2 other things, if we can do it, as I said recently, I don't think we have money for cost of living for public safety, but if we can come up with $1,000 or $750 each, I'm reminded of what Superintendent Tyler did at the end of '04. She tried to get a roll forward. She tried to get 8 of 12 board members to approve a property tax roll-up to give a true cost of living. It was going to be 3%, but they failed by 1 vote. She got 7 greens and 5 reds. But she did give certified teachers $1,000 later that year and non-certified $500. If we can do that, and I think we can, it would really help. And the final thing is I encourage people likely to fall on deaf ears to try to attend the budget hearings Thursday and Friday. If I show up at 3 o'clock or shortly before Thursday in a Thomas Jefferson costume, that's because Responde's people invited me to recite the Declaration outside the CenturyLink for the crowd, but I don't know if that'll happen. If it's raining, I'm not going to do it. And finally, I'm still reminded what this gentleman from District A said the day before the last governor's election at the budget hearing upstairs. There are needs and there are wants, and it's always a terrible problem for you people. His need might be your want. His need might be his want. So we just do the best we can with what we have. And I wish the members of the media would show a little interest and maybe show up Thursday or Friday. But if Adrian would promise to arm wrestle John, maybe we could get him to come. If we had a little...
I refuse any invitation of the mayor to arm wrestle me because I know that would end.
Thank you.
But
Let me just say this, Mr. Chairman, and I think the new councilman would appreciate Kent Kraft, his understanding in years of participation in budget hearings has been very beneficial to us in regards to his continual presentations in what has happened, giving us an understanding and some reference to what has happened through the years. I value his input, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the Friday and Thursday. We talk about continuity, and we come in pretty much green to what has happened in previous years. It's almost on-the-job training when we assume these positions as elected officials. But having resource people like Ken Kraft is always good and helpful in us somewhat ascertaining and deliberating over what we need to do for this city. So your presence would be appreciated. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
All right, Councilman Green.
Thank you. Again, Mr. Kraft, thank you for publicly stating about the bond issue. From whenever I met you a long time ago, you've always been consistent, and I can appreciate that about you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right,
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Nichols.
I'll say briefly that I appreciate Mr. Kraft's remarks concerning the city's general fund operating reserve. You know, the administration has delivered to the council a proposed budget that is balanced for the first time in several years. That is very much a step in the right direction. I remain concerned about the prospect of this council approving a budget that provides for an operating reserve of only about $1 million on $210 million of spending. Not a function of decisions that the present administration has made, but a function of the situation that it inherited. And I am going to encourage the council during our budget meetings this week to look for additional opportunities for savings. I know that the mayor is committed to seeing that reserve increase over time, but I want that to happen as quickly as possible, because I do think it is perilous for a city the size of our city to have such a small reserve. That's something that has concerned me since before I got elected, and I'm going to continue to do everything from my seat to see that we increase that operating reserve. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think we have a time conflict on
Mr. Chairman.
the meeting. Yes, sir.
We're in the public hearing. Is there anybody else to speak for or against?
I'm sorry. Was there anyone else? I didn't think it was. I'm sorry. Was there anyone else here to speak for or against this ordinance?
The public hearing.
Okay. For this public hearing, on the ordinance on the public hearing.
Right.
All right. Seeing none, then this public hearing is closed. All right. I was saying that I think we have a time conflict on the date conflict. That date that we just spoke of is the same date that the commission is meeting. So either we
on
need
the 21st.
So either we need to meet early or change that date.
Correct. That's what I was thinking. Commission's prejudice.
Yeah.
You could reconsider and do it on the 22nd.
22nd is fine. 22nd. All right.
So I move that we reconsider the 21st.
Reconsider. Been motion by Councilman Bradford, second by Councilman Green. Reconsider the 22nd.
I so move, Mr. Chairman, that we hold our next Friday, the 22nd at 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m.
Second.
Been moved and probably second by Councilman Green. Please vote. Thank you. Sorry about that. Mr. Thompson, any legislation to be added today?
Yes, sir. We have a request from the city attorney to go into executive session today pursuant to revised statute 4216 and 42:17A2 to discuss the following matter: Larry Cunningham versus City of Shreveport et al., docket number 5:17-CV-01056 with the United States District Court. So,
I move that this legislation be added to the agenda.
Second.
Okay. Well,
Mr. Chairman.
was there anyone? Yes, sir.
yeah, after the motion, you would determine if anybody wants to speak
Okay.
on this matter.
Been motion by Councilman Bradford and second by Councilman Butcher. Is there anyone here that want to speak for or against adding this to the agenda? Does anyone want to speak for or against adding this to the agenda? Seeing none, please vote. And that motion. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that will be taken up under executive session.
Thank you, sir. And we have the following request to speak.
Ms. Lahoma Williams.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, my name is Lahoma Williams, and I live at 236 East 74th Street. And I was here before, and I'm for the same thing again today. Our center in Cedar Grove, A.B. Palmer Park, is just getting worse and worse. Every time it rains, it has stopped leaking in there and has started raining in there. And I have a question. I want to know, how was it that most of the centers around town got some kind of work done on them within the last year? And we even had Riverview Hall worked on, but our center is just falling apart. And I do not want our center to wind up like Fairground Field did. You know, get in such bad condition that you want to tear it down because you said it would cost too much to fix it. So my question is, how that this happened that it wasn't any funds allotted for do something to A.B. Palmer Center? And any one of you can answer my question. And if you can't answer it,
If someone could speak to her after or outside, to the side.
Sure.
Shelley or someone can speak to her.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Regal's gonna meet you over to the side, or she'll come by your seat.
Yeah, if she can come have a seat right here, and I'll get Shelley down here.
Okay.
So that we can address the immediate needs.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. Lindsay Lohan, Pig Kardashian ham, and SpongeBob Pork Pants won pig racing at the Louisiana State Fair that I saw. Snoop Hogg won a blue ribbon, and so did Shaquille O'Squeal. What names for pigs? I went to the state fair, and Tonya McPherson gave me a smiley button, and I enjoyed the day of the fair and got to taste sample of the foods that were there. And she talked about the cookware that was from $900 to $2,000 was the price of the cookware. I got 2 key rings with Operation Lifesaver, 2 yellow bracelets, and a junior sheriff's badge. I went through the poultry, and there was a duck that was so mad for being caged up that it was quacking. The duck even quacked at me, and I had nothing to do with that. So when the duck quacked at me, I just looked at him and said, "Kiss my grits and eat your precious quackers and shut up." The duck apparently quacked again, and then I said, "Your mama too." Well, I went on ahead and I enjoyed the exhibits with food to eat. And I went to the circus, and there were 2 little dogs that jumped rope with a woman and a little poodle that climbed up a ladder on its very own. I told Mike Bigard all about this. He said, you told a duck to kiss your grits? I said, yes. He said, Sammy, they don't eat grits. I said, no, but they eat a box of Quackers just to get even. He just shook his head like this. And that showed me how much happy he was. Anyway, I did have a hamburger and fries and a Coke, and then later went and had vanilla ice cream in a cup. I enjoyed the exhibits and the agriculture building and had a great time, and I'm making my plans on going back next year because I know that it's a lot of fun if you get in early when you don't have to pay for free. And then I didn't write this down, but I'm doing it now. A black cat scored a touchdown, and the New York Giants lost to the Dallas Cowboys. I was watching the Monday Night Football when this happened, and I'm not superstitious, but I know that that's really dumb. When did a cat start getting involved in a football game when it goes into the end zone and scores a touchdown? Give that cat an opportunity to appear on the America's Funniest Home Videos, and you'll see what I mean.
Mr. Bill Weiner.
I'm Bill Weiner. I live at number 2 Longleaf Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana 71106. I'm going to make my presentation as a PowerPoint and not say anything, and at the end I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Brown?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Weiner has come before this body several times, saying that he has, what he just showed us, he had some thoughts and proposals on what we need to do as a city. I'm going to ask you as chairman, to appoint a special committee. We can't do it today, but it's one special committee to review what Mr. Weiner presented here today, and let's just evaluate the feasibility of doing any of those things and bring it back to the council for consideration. There's just a request that you would appoint a committee to look into Mr. Weiner's proposal.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. John Settle.
John Settle, 4 Tealwood. I wanted to give a shout out to the city and to SPAR for getting Riverview Theater timely completed, under budget, with 2011 bond monies. There's a lot of cynics in our community, some in these chambers, and a lot in the media that want to talk about how money has not been correctly spent. I went to Riverview Theater Saturday night, the opening, the opera was there, and I was very pleased to see all of the improvements. I know all the ladies that went there were very happy that their restroom was 3 times the size. But this is an example of how the city has completed a project timely, with bond money, and on budget. And the issue about the roof at A.B. Palmer is in this bond issue. Speaking of A.B. Palmer, I went to 9 town hall meetings on the bond issue. I'm kind of a slow learner, so it took me a while to get all the details. But I went to 7 community centers, and I think that the city has 16 of these. I'd never been to a community center before, and I realized the importance of those in a lot of the neighborhoods. And it's unfortunate that the community centers in the minority neighborhoods are the ones that seemingly are lacking the amenities in other neighborhoods. That's not right. They're on the bond issue. But I was very impressed because they do provide a lot of resources for our citizens. Children were there, supervised, adult activities, computer labs, and I realized how important those are. And I realized also that when these outside think groups register our city, Wallet Hub, et cetera, they don't look at those amenities that are important for our citizens. Of course, they do cost money. One columnist who was in this and also in the Shreveport Times obviously did not go to any community meetings or even read the bond proposals, because his article fighting the bonds is full of misstatements, facts that are misinterpreted, and a total misunderstanding. I think it's unfortunate when media does that. A good example is saying SPAR has a $7 million administrative budget. Why can't they fix the convention center? Well, $5 million of that goes for utilities, and then $2 million goes for staffing of the thing. But I think it's sad that when media does not do their research and tries to attack things with misstatements, false conclusions, and misdeductions. And there's another media person, and thank goodness the mayor dealt with that very well today, that now complains about one issue on the bond, Ninth Street, which is being repaired. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Settle, before you leave. I appreciate your comments, especially referencing A.B. Palmer, as well as it's included in this bond proposal. I've had, in my district, I've had persons to say, why haven't things happened prior to now? And you know, and I think Mr. Kraft mentioned it earlier, that if it's not funded in the bond proposal, it doesn't happen. For my 4 years, 5 years now on the council, we've had a chronic list of what we call unfunded needs. Unfunded needs, including in those were some capital projects that we just could not afford to do within our operating budget. So through being uninformed and not knowing that for the last 3 bond proposals in my district, there was certain capital projects that was not included, it was not done. But people think that they was not done because the city didn't want to do them, when in reality they was not in the bond proposal to be funded. So we're at a state now with this bond proposal that we can sort of do do an inclusive all, that we can address the funded needs that Mr. Kraft had mentioned that has been a chronic list, and we can upgrade so many areas of our city. But because of people being uninformed and believe that we have not been prudent with our funding of projects that was not ever appropriated funding for, we are in the state that you mentioned in that article, that people are misinformed. But I'm hoping and trusting that we can finally, because we heard from several entities yesterday, from the Shreveport Board of Tourism, today from the LEP, and we have an opportunity to do some things that we haven't done in a while, but we got to work together to get those done. Because if we do not do it now, then when do we do it? So your awareness, as well as some others that have been regular participant over the years in understanding how the process has worked is very appreciated. But if it's not in the budget, or if it's not in the bond proposal, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And it's certainly leaky roofs like the one at the convention center. We got to get that done. It's been a situation that we've dealt with now for 4 years. If we don't get it done in this bond proposal, then it's going to be in the same condition as some of the other facilities that we have. So I just want to thank you for your comments.
You're welcome. And I was shocked when I went to these presentations. As I said, I went to 9. I learned a lot each time. I think it's Chris Hayes. Is that in Allendale?
No, sir.
It's Moortown.
Moortown.
It's Moortown.
Moortown. My apologies. Major mistake. That we have a community center that ladies' restroom does not have stalls in it. And I didn't think we were third world country.
You mean petitions, you don't mean stalls.
Petition. And I didn't think we were third world country even in Moortown. So we need to fix those.
Thank you.
Ms. Virginia Stanley. Ms. Stanley?
Virginia Stanley.
Caitlin Douglas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to adjust this so I can hear myself. Okay, so I'm here today on behalf of ASAP Shreveport and on behalf of a collaborative Get Out the Vote effort that is being spearheaded by a lot of the millennial-ran organizations. So I wanted to commend Mayor Perkins for being a part of that effort to help bridge the gap between millennials and the older generation. There are a lot of things going on. I'm very proud of the city of Shreveport for making history, and having the highest early voting turnout rate on the first day of early voting in Shreveport's history. I do feel greatly that is in direct.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, would you state your name and address?
Okay. Caitlin Douglas. I stay in District F. My apologies. But yes, I wanted to commend the millennials in Shreveport for actually getting out the vote, and I want to give out my phone number to anybody listening so that you know that you will, or if you don't have transportation to the polls on Saturday to vote, 318-344-3162 is my phone number. 318-344-3162 is my phone number, and I will get your information to Ms. Candace Baptiste, who is working with the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice to help you get transportation to the polls on Saturday. I am also here to promote an event that I am hosting. It's an educational initiative. I would like to invite Mr. Bradford, because it's actually going to be at Southern University on Martin Luther King on the Cooper Road, and it's in your district, if I'm not mistaken. And I would like to invite anybody in the room, anybody on the live feed, because what we're doing is called Hood Politics, and we are literally taking a grassroots approach to bridge the gap of communication and eliminate the communication barriers that exist between younger millennials in the city so that they can actually get the correct information of what they are already talking about. Millennials, especially younger millennials aged 25 and below, are already talking about politics, but they are not realizing that they're talking about politics, and they get intimidated often when they see people in suits and when they see people in places like this. So we're coming at coming at it from a very, very, very simple approach, in that we're gonna just have a kickback at Sussler at 12 p.m. tomorrow in the CAF, and the students are able to congregate and talk about whatever they want to, and we're going to just give them the correct information so they can be informed citizens and make informed decisions and be properly functioning members of society. And I do want to say that on Thursday, I have been hearing on Facebook, a lot of people are wanting to do counter protests for in lieu of our president's arrival here. And my challenge to everybody is, instead of going and counter protesting, go vote on Saturday and make a difference that way, and don't just be seen and be heard in the physical, and not cast your vote and be heard on the national level. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you again for collaborating with us.
Let me say one other thing before you go, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Douglas, thank you. I just want to say thank you, and Ms. Baptiste, for your efforts. I really appreciate the effort that you all are putting forward in that.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up the millennials.
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 You got to put some respect on it. Millennials. Yes.
Well, anyway, your efforts and your presence over the last, especially through early voting as well as education. I think you made a presentation during the William Barber visit as well, right?
Yes, I did, and I actually will be flying out. I'm gonna get, as the millennials say, flued out. That's for my millennials. But I'm going to Chicago for the National Poor People's Campaign as well this week. So I've actually already done my part, and I'm gonna have to continue my work in Chicago. So, yeah.
But I'm just saying that your presence and those of your colleagues in that efforts to get out to vote, early voting, as well as the presentation that you'll be hosting tomorrow, and I certainly will be there. I think it's good. We got to bridge the gap. We got to become more understanding, and that we are all in this together. We, I mean, there's no generational enemy here. It's just if we got to communicate and appreciate each generational contributions to this effort to make this city a greater city.
Okay.
But I want to thank you personally, because I see you all over the place.
Sir, help me. But I do want to I'm going to hold you to coming tomorrow now. It's Sussler in the CAF. I'm going to make sure they say you some chicken or something. And you come at 12 p.m. all y'all, okay? It may not be Southern Classic. It might be Sodexo, but come on, okay? Okay, thank you.
Caleb, 1 second. I just wanted to thank you for what you're doing as well. It's very inspiring to myself and to our peers that are millennials and even Generation Y coming behind us, to see you come out and be an activist for your community about so many issues, but also encourage them to vote. Our generation, oftentimes we like to get on social media a lot more than we actually like to move our feet and get out there to be activists or to actually vote. And we've showed up in a major way in my campaign, and I'm very confident we're going to show up in a major way this weekend too. But we wouldn't be able to do that without leaders like you, so I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a mayoral whoa for that, for the millennials out there. Okay, thank you.
Still got one more, Ms. Douglas, so hold on one second. Come on. Councilman Gray, you popular today. Okay, Councilman Gray.
Also, Ms. Douglas, I'd like to commend you, and also I had planned to go to the march, but as we say at church, if you can't go, help send. So if you would remain after council meeting, I'd like to give you a contribution on your trip.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm going to go change my shoes and sit down in something comfortable, and I'm going to hold you to that.
Yes, ma'am. I'll see you right after the meeting. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Mr. Mark Medicus.
I haven't been to a council meeting in a while, and it's good to see Brother Green back. And
thank you.
I sent a little coaster up there.
Would you state your name and address?
My name is Mark Medicus, 10455 Linwood Avenue. I put a little coaster up there for you, just as food for thought. I have a sort of a little parody in reference to the drinking issues that seems to be coming up over and over again, and I know you have a lot to consider in this matter. So I know so many families broken by alcohol, and we seem to be keeping our churches busy helping families that have alcohol issues. And what I see the chamber doing more and more, not just here, but in the whole parish, is it seems like there's a thing where we need more drunks. Apparently it brings money to the community. And so I have a little story here. We need more drunks. It is good to support police scraping up people run over by drunks and causing wrecks. It is good for jails, so the police can arrest the drunk driver to fill their jail. It's good for attorneys who can take the drunk to court or defend the drunk. It's good for the courts who apparently have nothing better to do than to hear the cases by the prosecutors against the drunk. It's good for insurance companies to pay out dues to the drunk's problems. It's good for the families who have to put up with the drunk and abuse. It's good for crime, so taxpayers will pay more to arrest the drunk. It's good for the law-abiding citizens who own guns because the drunks make gun owners look like saints. It's good for hospitals and doctors who have to save the drunk or save the people who the drunk has harmed. It's good for food stamps to be traded for pennies on the dollars to buy their alcohol and their cigarettes, but not feed their children. How about enough? How about we stop this madness? On our corner of Linwood and Burt Coons and Florney Lucas, we have a Brookshire's selling alcohol, Walmart selling alcohol, the gas station on the corner across from McDonald's selling alcohol, Thrifty Liquor selling alcohol, and the one that really excites me is just right there, we have a little drive-through daiquiri store where you can buy one and get two free, and you can drive up because they put this little straw lid on it. I'm so glad they put the straw on and keep it on there so they don't drink and drive. So what is the matter with our city council to say no, 9 o'clock every night? It's not a bad deal, except the bars, because we still need more drunks. Thanks. Something to think about.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Albert Brown.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I said good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mr. Brown.
All right now. Albert Brown, 439 East 81st Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. First of all, Mr. Mayor, City Chairman, City Councilman, employees, City of Shreveport. First of all, I want to thank you, Ms. Jones, because Mr. Mayor, y'all really on top of these things that when I ask for, y'all really be on top of them. I really thank you all for that. Y'all doing a great job. No matter what nobody else say, y'all doing a great job. And you got my support and my prayers. But there's a few problem, a little thing. Now, I talked to that supervisor of for Linwood, and he said he was going to take care of that, but we still got some bad areas there on Linwood that, need to be taken care of because of the fact that you can't, and people have talked to me about it, and they said, Mr. Brown, it's still, I know you can't do everything, but it's still some bad areas there they need to take care of. And I talked to that supervisor back here a while back, and he said, we're going to take care of it, and he, didn't take care of it, but, I'm going to still knock on that door. And Mr. Green, I need to see you right after, I need to see him, and Mr. Bosch, I need to see you too. My ministry is called Big Because I Care. And I do care because of the fact that I asked God today, I said, what am I here for? Because I care. Now, I love Shreveport, and I'm always, my nephew asked me another day when he came here from his mother's wedding, he said, Unc, don't you feel bad? He said, because in Seattle, it's just as bad as all get out. So we should not put down Shreveport because it's bad everywhere. But people always act like we just got the worst thing it is. But it's bad everywhere. But it's good here. Because I can ride down the street. I don't know what people talking about. I can ride down the street. It's not like Marcia Dillon here. I mean, just because you hear one bad person shot, then you think everything. I don't see things half empty. I see it half full. And I'm going to always keep that positive attitude. I'm not going to let nobody turn that from me. Because I'm here for a reason. And I thank and praise God for this city of Shreveport. And I'm always going to speak positive of you, Brother Mayor, because I always tell people about you. I said, that brother is doing a great job. And I said, even in the barbershop, I'd be trying to get a good haircut, But I thank God for you, man. I thank God for all of you all. My prayers are with you all. And I pray to God y'all have a happy Thanksgiving and a glorious time, and I'm just asking now who gonna invite me for Thanksgiving now. But thank God for you all, like I said, and you all keep doing a great job. My prayers are with you and everything. And like I say, every time I ask you, you do what I ask you to do, and I thank God for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Kraft, I have a request to speak. Do you have additional comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not budget related. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, Mr. Mayor. Again, Ken Kraft, same address I gave earlier at the public hearing. We have a choice Saturday in my ballot, 5 choices: Governor, Secretary of State, Prop 1, Prop 2, Prop 3. As I recapped before, this town has always, to my study, passed the big 4: police, fire, streets, and drainage. Parks has passed more often than not. We have voted the zoo down thrice. We once voted a stadium down and later approved it in Mayor Hussey. You go back to Billy Hanna in '78, a lot of propositions. The only 4 which passed, the voters were selective. They said, let's go for streets, drainage, police, and fire. Billy came back the day Carter lost to Reagan, November 4th. And he had 12 propositions, the most ever. The big 4 passed and an incinerator. And the other 7 selective choices among our citizenry. Mayor John Hussey, November 19th of '83. Fairgrounds Field passed and several others. The zoo went down. Mayor Hussey again, the big ones passed. Mayor Beard next didn't do a bond issue. Mayor Bo Williams, April 20th of '96. Let's try 10. Voters said, let's say yay to 5, big 4 in parks, and let's say no to 5, all kind of other stuff. We don't like the other stuff. Mayor Hightower, a single item, July 17th, '99, the so-called Hightower Hilton. My only no vote on a bond by itself. Thought it would lose $150,000 a month. It's basically doing that, but 70-something% of the people said yes. 2 years later, Mayor Hightower did an all-in-one $70 million. One vote. Don't like that. Wanted choices, but the people approved it. 30 million streets, 20 for drainage, 8 police, 8 fire. Spar only got $4 million under Mayor Hightower. Mayor Cedric Glover, the last one, April 2nd of 11. Water and sewer money. Oh, consent decree. First time we ever approved bonds for sewer. This time we're being asked to approve bonds for water. We need that water for the water pressure in the hydrants. And I've now talked to 9 citizens and explained if we go to a class 2 fire rating, and the 6 of the 9 who've checked have all assured me, yeah, Ken, my premiums are gonna go up more than the millages will go down if they're defeated. Think about that. We all have a choice. I plan to go out and vote for all 3. It's my 192nd election. I hate media people like Aaron McCarty saying at 8:38 yesterday morning there's no specificity. So we haven't specified which fire stations we're going to replace? Oh, my bad. I guess we're going to replace 3 and 19 and 22. No, it's been very specific.
Mr. Keith Brown. Mr. Brown?
He left.
Those are all the requests to speak, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. We have the, is Mr. Lawrence Anderson here? Well, I didn't want him not, I didn't want not to recognize him if he was here today, so. Okay. There are no items on the consent agenda. Mr. Thompson? I don't know if it's
Mr. Chairman?
Are we confirming him today? Is
Yes,
that today?
yes.
Okay.
I so move.
A second. It's been moved by Councilman Bradford and a second by the chair.
The motion is to confirm
confirm
Lawrence Anderson.
Yes.
Lawrence Anderson, the Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission. If there's no discussion, please vote. Before we move on, did Green, you want to bring up 165? You want to suspend the rules and do that, or?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suspend the rule and bring up zoning case 165.
A second.
No motion to suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules. Then moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair.
Yeah.
Please vote. Carries with 5.
Okay.
Ready? This is ordinance 165, case number 19-387-C. If adopted, it would rezone property located approximately 1,600 feet west of Pines Road and 300 feet south of Jefferson Page Road from RE Residential Estate District to R2 Multifamily Residential District. Mr. Chairman, normally the council would, somebody would move to adopt, and those who are opposed would ask that there would be a no vote.
Go ahead, Mr. Chair, if you distrust. Second.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right. Then moved by the chair, and the second by Councilman Green to adopt 165. I'm asking that you all support me and vote no on 165. Please vote.
No. No.
Please.
No. Oh, vote no? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asking if you would support me and vote no. Yes, sir.
You're asking me.
I'm sorry.
Respectfully.
Fails with 5. Fails with. All right, Mr. Thompson, can you proceed with regular agenda legislation?
Mr. Chairman, in case there's anybody who's asking, this upholds the vote of the MPC to deny the request to rezone the property.
I'm sorry, yes, that's right.
Thank you.
We're now into regular agenda legislation.
Mr. Chair, before, Cousin Ruth, you all can go home now. We done defeated it, so you know. I just want to
Yes, sir.
Resolution 130 authorizes the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement with Shreveport Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Bradford, second by Councilman Green. Please vote.
Resolution 131 authorizes Sports Spectrum Race Management.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Butcher. There's no discussion. Please vote on 131. Motion carries with 5. Mr. Thompson.
Resolution 132 needs, the public hearing was to be held on November the 26th. So we need a motion to postpone.
So moved. Postpone.
The motion by Councilman Green, second by Councilman Butcher. Postpone. On 132. No discussion. Please vote.
Okay. Resolution 133 authorizes the mayor to accept a donation of real estate with improvements located at 2916 Fulton Street in as-is condition with an estimated value of $20,000 from Wells Fargo National Bank to be utilized by the community development for homeownership or rental to a low to moderate income homeowner or tenant.
So moved.
A second.
Moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Bradford on 134.
My question, administration, this property has been evaluated to the needs that we can apply it to. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We have a representative from Community Development, Ms. Tracy Graham is here. And if I can have her to come up, and she can give you an overview of what this project is for.
Yes.
If you could restate your question, please.
Okay, my question is, let me reference it first. Oftentimes, people donate things to people, city, and it costs more to address it and bringing it up to a standard than it would be to reject the donation. So I'm asking, is this property feasible to what the intent is, and would the cost of refurbishing it be within the budget of what you want to accomplish?
Yes, it will be. The inspectors have gone out and looked at the property and come back with photos and their information and given us information on this property, because a lot of times you do hear that properties are so in such a bad condition. A lot of people think that we can, as far as community development, we can go in and redo their home, but once you step in there, there's a lot more involved. But no, they have vetted this property and looked at it.
Yeah, and you have a purpose for this property already.
Yes, we're going to try to use the property to actually help a person become either a first-time home buyer or a homeowner. We have programs that can help them do that.
Great. I just want to make sure we vetted it and it's good.
And if you have any other questions or want to see any other information, I'll try to get that for you.
I will contact you personally if I do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Real quick, and I don't really know if I would like in the future, I'm gonna vote for this today, but in the future, I would like to see these inspection reports before, if we add anything else. I'd like to see some. I mean, I pulled it up on Google and looked at it. Didn't go by it, but looks like the roof's in pretty bad shape to me. But I don't know. But I'm gonna vote for it today. But in the future, if y'all had inspectors go out, I'd like to see an inspection report on it.
Sure, yep.
Good deal.
Well, a question, where does the money to rehab these homes comes from? The Choice Neighborhood Grant? Is that what this?
Yes, this particular one is from Choice.
Okay, thank you.
We can pass the room.
Yeah.
There's no other discussion, please vote. Motion.
Designation Director of Governmental Affairs, Shelley Regal, Director of SPAR, Russell Delancey, Division Manager, City Architect, and Stephen Therese, SPAR Senior Project Administrator, to act on behalf of the City of Shreveport in all matters pertaining to the Valencia Spray Park Planning and Construction Project, State of Louisiana Facility Planning and Control Project Number 50-MRI-19-01.
So moved. Second. Moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair. There's no discussion, please vote. Ms. Thompson.
Resolution 135, suspend certain provisions of Chapter 10 and any applicable provisions of the Shreveport Unified Development Code of the city relative to the crew of Centaur and crew of Gemini parades.
So moved.
Second.
City Attorney Creel.
Yes, sir. Yesterday I was presented with a question as to whether or not the council can vote to have a resolution that would affect suspend an ordinance that's currently in place. I indicated yesterday that I needed some time to review the actual ordinances, and I have done that. With regards to Resolution 135 and 136, I'm of the opinion that the council can vote to suspend those particular ordinances. That authorization comes from the ordinances themselves. It is built into the ordinances, specifically with Resolution 135. It indicates that exceptions can be created for the drinking in public by city council resolution and ordinance, as well as Resolution 136. It's built into that ordinance as well, where it indicates that those provisions do not apply to the right-of-way of Fayette Parkway during the time it is closed to vehicular traffic for any parade or other event. I think under any other circumstance, it would not be prudent to do that. However, since those provisions are built into the ordinances, I believe the council can vote, if it chooses to accept those resolutions.
Okay. Good?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Crew.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you, City Attorney. It was motion by Councilman Green, second by the chair. Please vote. It carries with 5.
Resolution 136 suspends the provisions of Chapter 50 relative to the operation of vehicles on property located adjacent to the Red River and otherwise provides with
So
respect
moved.
thereto.
Second. Moved by Councilman Green and second by Councilman Butcher. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Resolution 138 establishes a complete to serve as trusted voices to develop and implement a 2020 census awareness and response campaign.
So moved.
Second. Been moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Resolution 150 Frank Ray McMillan Sr. And dedicates West 66th Street at Clift Avenue to him for his commitment and contributions to this community.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair. 150. Motion carries with 5. I think we post. Well,
Mr. Clerk, did we adopt 137? I'm sorry. I'll make sure that, or,
236.
We moved it, remember?
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Bradford had a question earlier, and we went so fast earlier, I just mentioned that we had a report from Mr. Clark. If you want to give us about a good minute so Mr. Clark can come up and address that question, we can do that. I'm sorry, I skipped over that earlier.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Clark?
Mr. Chair, Council, Mayor, we wanted to come to you, Councilwoman Fuller had alluded yesterday, to bring you an update to some of the initiatives that are being developed out of the Master Plan Committee. We had a meeting last week for the Master Plan Committee meeting. Some initiatives have come from the MPC staff that I think you would be very interested in. The first initiative that we are tracking through the process is the Neighborhood Participation Meeting Program for Land Use Actions. The master plan, if you will allow me, designated that the MPC should adopt a policy that provide that private and government projects meeting certain criteria must be taken for comment to the residents, property owners, or business owners who may be affected by projects. And that means that certain projects that come before the MPC board would be taken out to the communities, but it would be initiated by the applicant that's trying to do activities in certain neighborhoods and certain communities. The land use applications that this will be affecting will be zoning map amendments, which are zoning changes, special use permits, variances, plan unit development, small plan unit development, and major subdivisions. What this is saying is that anytime one of these applications are brought before the board, prior to the board hearing the applicant's presentation, a meeting will be required to take place between the neighborhood association, the neighborhood, the business community in those particular areas. This is something we've been working on for quite some time. This is something that has not quite made it to your level yet. We're still tweaking some of the aspects of this initiative because there will possibly be some discussions when you start requiring businesses coming into the city, requiring them to have a meeting with the neighborhood associations or neighborhood members prior to their application being heard. So this one is we're still working on this initiative. A second initiative is the redevelopment mixed-use village district. This will be a totally new residential district. From all information we have, this is the only development of this type in the state of Louisiana. It will allow for blended residential, community, commercial, cultural, institutional, and entertainment uses in one space. This will also allow for certain uses. We've been talking about the millennials all afternoon as I sit back and listen and been entertained. A lot of millennials are concerned with tiny houses where the mortgages are much lower, the upkeep is much less. All of those things are centered around the younger people, but also for tiny house development becomes the homeless population, because homeless populations, and on yesterday we were celebrating the veterans, but we have a series of homeless veterans that around the country, these type developments are being designed and these type developments are being implemented in order to address some of the needs of the homeless veterans and homeless citizens within the city of like Shreveport. Also, we are in strong contact with a lot of persons concerning annexations. We've been talking with some of you about annexations. There are some proponents of annexations. There are other proponents of not annexation or de-annexations, and we have been exploring the and revising our approach to dealing with annexations. In January, we will be hosting a retreat with some members from Strongtown and other organizations that really get into the depths of annexation and the pros and cons of annexations, and we can finally start addressing the problems of annexations, but we all have to be on the same accord. As you've noticed, there have been instances when the MP staff has made one recommendation, the MPC board has taken a different position, and the city council has taken a third position, and that has not been beneficial for the process of doing annexations in the city of Shreveport. We're also exploring impact fees, where when property is annexed into the city limits, the impact that property presents to the city of Shreveport, we can assess a fee to allow for the maintenance of that property as it stays into the Shreveport property, added into the city of Shreveport's property. So there are a lot of things that are on the forefront. I think that when we don't come up and present the master plan updates, we leave ourselves open for citizens to criticize the things that are not being done, but we're doing things every day, and we're doing extensive research in everything we possibly can to make the orderly development of the city of Shreveport a productive one.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Clark, and certainly it's very healthy and appreciated when you do come and make these update presentations. Will there be any action from this body to help implement some of the proposed suggestions you just made?
The redevelopment residential zoning district was approved by the MPC board, which will be forwarded on to the city council. The neighborhood participation program, we feel we're very close to getting complete support from the MPC board, and once we do that, then that will be going forward to the city council. And we will also be reaching out to some of the affected parties that will be affected by this process. A lot of the groups that have had concerns or reservations about the Unified Development Code in the past, to get their input before we finally try to get this law enacted.
Okay. Mr. Ram Taylor, before you leave, I need to ask you a question, which you and the CEO went after this gentleman. We finished with him, okay? Okay, yeah, I appreciate those. I yield to my colleague.
Councilman Butcher?
Mr. Clark, you and I have had some conversations. It appears that the majority of the annexations are in my district, and I don't think anybody would disagree with the fastest growing area of the city is southeast Shreveport, or the parish is southeast Caddo. I would like for us to really look at these annexations and a plan of either the city needs to sell these new developments water and sewage and not take on the additional cost of maintaining them for many years to come, or we need to have, I feel like, a definite line of how far south we're going to go and how far west or east we're going to go, because a lot of people are, angry that we're annexing some of these properties. But over the years, it's been the city's policy, and I've watched it since 1994 when they annexed Southern Trace and Long Lake. They've held the water. The city held the water over those people's heads because they didn't have a water district out there. And so we really need, as a city and as a city council, to come up with a plan how we're going to move this forward. And I applaud you and the MPC for, and I know UDC requires it now for the MPC, but I would like for us all to be on the same page. I don't ever want to stop progress, but I also don't want to hinder the growth of the inner city. We are making a huge donut in the inner city. So I would like to see us fill in, and I think the mayor and I have discussed this, fill in the areas that are concurrent with inside the city instead of going 15 miles away and annexing something away from areas that are, you've got areas around Uri Drive that are still outside the city, but you're going all the way down towards Wallace Lake to annex other areas. So I think that's a discussion that the administration and the council and the MPC and the parish need to be involved in. And I think water and sewage is the number one concern for that now.
Water and sewage and streets are the primary concerns for annexation. You're absolutely right. And we're working toward making some recommendations to the council that the council can embrace that would truly deal with the speed of annexation. Possibly annexation should be slowed down at some point to allow for us to do a more in-depth study, or we should consider as I alluded to earlier, the impact fees, because as you think about it, it seems like a great improvement, or great to the city with population and so forth. It's an increase, but when you finally get, and we talk about developers will initially take care of the water and sewer and the streets and so forth, but then once the city adopts those costs become astronomical, and you start looking at situations where it's difficult to maintain the streets that you have to maintain now. And so you start that process of streets begin to be less and less and less maintained because funding becomes less and less available. But if there are fees in place to continue that process, that's an idea, not a suggestion. It's just an idea that we're exploring. And some of these things require study to truly understand whether or not impact fees will work. And those were some of the things that were included in the master plan. Acquiring consultants to study this issue that never happened because the funding was never available.
Well, I think back to the point of I've lived in my neighborhood now since 2008 and lived around the corner from there since 2003. The development is going on. I mean, I was riding down yesterday on the way home and looking at the development on Southern Loop, and it's a totally different Southern Loop than it was 3 years ago, much less, in 2003 when I moved out there. So I like I said, I applaud the MPC, and I look forward to working with y'all, and I'd like to be involved in anything that deals with annexation, and I hope that we can kind of start
making some, some strides to bring development to the inner city as well as out.
And that's where the additional residential districts come in to encourage inner city development so that these holes, this donut begins to fill up, because we ride around the city and there are many, many empty spaces and many, many donuts throughout the city.
I agree.
Yeah.
Councilman Nicholson.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Bragg?
No, I just wanted to conclude by saying I appreciate Councilman Butcher acknowledging this threat. When you get the councilman from that area, understanding that if we continue in this trend, how it would affect the city, inner city corridor, as well as the city as a whole, in stretching our resources so far out. So thank you, and I'm hoping that we can be more prudent and sensitive to what this is all about. So I just wanted to thank him, and I also to thank you in being conscientious of this. Now it may not be related, but when the development keep going on out on the southern loop, it makes me think about St. George's, Baton Rouge. That not now, but 10 or 20 years from now, that sector of the city may want us to, separate, and that would be another tragedy.
Well, and I mean, not to interrupt you, but I noticed on Mr. Weiner's presentation, de-annexation was listed, and part of the de-annexation conversation, I believe, happened in Memphis a couple of years ago, where several areas of, and that's something I would like for us to try to steer away from, bringing these areas in just to have them 10 years from now want to pull out.
Yeah.
So, and I think you could take North Bossier, and I know we don't like to compare ourselves to Bossier very often, but you could take North Bossier, for instance, that most of those subdivisions north of Brownlee Road are outside the city limits, but they're on city water and sewer, but the parish is maintaining the streets, and you have to have private trash pickup and things like that. So that should be something we probably need to look at going forward, is let's, how much can we sell the water and sewage to these people, to the people that are developing out there. So
And
just
that's
ideas.
I'm sorry. No, and that's what we're very hopeful that we'll be able to do with other city departments, to truly do assessment on the impact of additional annexation. We're not advocating de-annexation by no means, but that in the future we will be able to make determinations in our recommendations to you with information and data from the impact of additional police protection, the impacts of additional fire protection, the impact of maintaining the streets and maintaining the water, the sewage, and so forth, and seeing if it even becomes close to balancing out. And if it doesn't, coming up with ways to ensure that the city doesn't suffer as a result of bringing in additional property owners.
For the record, I'm not advocating de-annexation either. I'm just saying that
Wait a minute
I
now.
know that.
Wait.
I just know that strong towns, that's one of their models is de-annexation, and we're talking about having a retreat with strong towns. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that we could foresee that in the future if we don't take some actions.
And I agree with you. I think that we have to do what works for the city of Shreveport. It's always good to have models to look at and review and make determinations from, but at the end of the road, we have to do what works best for the city of Shreveport.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Clark, as always.
Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Clark, I appreciate your efforts as always. I'm intrigued by the idea of impact fees as a way to balance the cost and benefits of additional annexation. I appreciate Councilman Butcher recognizing that if we don't come up with a comprehensive plan to manage annexation going forward, we will be presented with significant challenges in my district and the others in the core of the city. And I hope that with your efforts and those of your staff and the council, we can avoid that. Thank you.
And thank you so much. And this is why I just wanted to come up and share with you that these things are happening. We're working very hard every day, and we're doing extensive research daily to come up with solutions to provide recommendations to both the MPC board and the city council.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before Mr. Reverend Taylor leave, and I wanted to make sure that I got my facts and timetables right. Ms. Jones, now in regards to appointing, from the council members appointing a member to the committees, how many committees are there? How many appointments we need to make?
See, there are 6 committees, and we would like for the council to appoint one person to each.
So six individuals.
You want us to restate the committees, or? you want us to restate them?
Yeah, please.
We got healthcare. We have healthcare and education, government, communities, and neighborhoods. So that's the second one. Faith-based and nonprofit organizations. That's the third one. Business and industry. Fourth. Public relations and marketing. Fifth. And census facilities and digital access is the 6th.
Okay.
And we can shoot a follow-up email as well to make sure you all have.
Can you send those email those to us?
Yep.
Yes.
I don't
I'll
think
resend
Mr.
it.
Bradford has shorthand, and he ain't gonna be able to read that one.
And we need that by the 15th, is that?
Yes,
So
next
Friday?
Friday.
By
yes.
Friday.
If possible, yes,
Okay.
that would be.
And
And
that-
that's so that we can give those individuals advance notification to be able to attend the kickoff meeting, which is December the 5th.
Okay, so 8 o'clock Monday, would that be?
We can make that work.
I mean, since we're gonna be in, we got a heavy.
Yeah,
next
we do
3 or
have a
4 days.
busy week, yes.
So-
And I set that date, understanding that I know that we have a busy week, but as soon as you can get those to me, we'll be good.
But the important thing is to have those names in and be prepared for the initial training on the 5th.
On December the 5th, and that'll be at 5 p.m. in the Mayor's Large Conference Room.
What kind of time, or when I'm asking these people to volunteer, what kind of time are we looking at as far as how many times are they going to meet? I mean,
Sure. So, and Mr. Taylor and I talked about this, is that the committee members will guide their own schedules. They will set the agenda, set the goals, and the activities that they will pursue to be able to help their area, their subcommittee, to be able to reach out to the community. So we, will recommend they meet, maybe once a week at most, maybe every other week. They may want to, kind of design some, some time for them to be able to work individually if necessary. So they'll set their own schedule. Census Day is April the 1st, 2020. So that's kind of the time frame that they'll have to work within to be able to determine what they need to do, what times they need to meet to be able to orchestrate their activities.
gotcha. Thank you.
And a lot of these things that were mentioned, that will be covered in the training, where you will get the initial training. I concur with Ms. Jones that it's so very important that, you spend whatever time is needed to touch your sector, because again, that $675 billion is based on, how many people are counted.
Yeah.
So there will be ample training, but the good thing is you can have subcommittees of your committees as well.
Okay.
But Ms. Jones has definitely said it in such a way that it can work if we work it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, I just wanted one more question, but I do want to express to you our years of association. It's amazing that you're still going strong as you are. It gives me great encouragement.
Gentleman just walked up to me and put his arm around me and said, "You got to be careful. You're claiming you've known Mr. Bradford for over 20 years. That might not be a good thing for you." Then he says he's your friend.
You're safe, I promise you, you're safe.
But I mean, when you're doing what God has called you to do, to work for our community, you never get old. You never, I believe the Bible says, you never get tired and, weary and good doing.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't know how to give up, bro.
But you're statewide, so I guess you get it all. So appreciate that. But let me be clear now. We're gonna make 6 recommendations. Now, once they go into the orientation, if some of these people reject participation, do we have opportunity to re-recommend?
Yes, we would like to have full representation, so if there are some who, after the training, decide that they, don't want to proceed, then yeah, we would like to be able to fill those slots.
Okay, so we'll be in communications on that process.
Yes, and I will let you know.
Okay. Thank you again, Mr. Taylor. Have a good trip back.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
No, I don't think so. I doubt it very seriously. All right, Mr. Thompson.
We're now under introduction of resolutions. Resolution 137 amends Resolution Number 20 of 2013, which was adopted to amend the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Bossier City, the Parish of Caddo, the Parish of Bossier, and the Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau relative to the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission. Resolution 139 authorizes a request to be made to the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources, Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board to seek public bids for an oil, gas, and mineral lease involving the property located in Districts A, F, and G and described herein, and to execute the lease for certain mineral interest owned by the City of Shreveport, and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents related to the intent of this resolution. Resolution 140 authorizes a request to be made to the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources, Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board to seek public bids for an oil, gas, and mineral lease involving the property located in District A and described herein, and to execute the lease for certain mineral interest owned by the City of Shreveport, and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents relating to the intent of this resolution. Resolution 141 authorizes the mayor to accept a monetary donation of $15,000 from the Shreveport Garden Study Club to the City of Shreveport to be utilized by the Shreveport Public Assembly and Recreation Department for the Government Plaza Beautification Project. Resolution 142 authorizes the mayor to execute an act of donation between the city and Lucian Field Estates Homeowners Association, Inc., acting herein through Lee Foster for Lot 1002, Lucian Field Estates, Phase 1, Unit A. Resolution 143 authorizes the mayor to accept an in-kind donation worth $17,200 in value from the ELA Group, Inc., to the city to be utilized by the Shreveport Police Department. Resolution 144 authorizes the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Shreveport Opera. Resolution 145 authorizes the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Shreveport Symphony Orchestra. Resolution 146 authorizes the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Shreveport Metropolitan Ballet. Resolution 147 authorizes the employment of legal counsel to represent the City of Shreveport's Personnel Board. And Resolution 148 authorizes the employment of special legal counsel to provide legal advice, counsel, and representation of the city, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
All right. Councilman Butcher, did you want to speak on 140?
Yeah, 140. Ms. Krill, is that in relation to the gentleman that spoke a couple of weeks ago?
140, let's see.
That's at least for the.
Yeah, that's the mineral lease.
Yes, that one, 140 was the gentleman that came and spoke a few weeks ago. 139 was in regards to a company that reached out to me prior to that gentleman coming to council, but reached out to me via city email.
Well, I want to thank you and your office, because those gentlemen had kind of felt like they reached a roadblock, and I appreciate y'all handling this so quickly. So thank you.
No problem.
All right. Is there a motion to introduce these resolutions?
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman.
Second.
Green.
Mr. Chairman, we're now at the introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 166 amends the city's 2019 general fund budget. Ordinance 167 amends the city's general fund, 2019 general fund budget. Ordinance 168 amends the 2019 budget funding contractual services provided by Sportran by Metro Management Associates, Inc. Ordinance 169 amends Chapter 1, Section 1 through 15 of the Code concerning prosecution fees in traffic cases. Ordinance 170 repeals Division 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the establishment of the Clean Community Commission. Ordinance 171 amends Chapter 1, Section 1-14 regarding general penalties for unlawful acts and unlawful offenses and misdemeanors.
Move for introduction.
Second.
We're now under ordinances on second reading and final passage. Ordinance 160 amends the City of Shreveport's 2019 general fund budget appropriating the funds authorized herein and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Green, second by Councilman Bradford on 160. No discussion, please vote.
Chairman, was there a discussion yesterday? 161.
There was, Mr. Clark, and I will make the motion to table ordinance 161.
Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Clerk of Council. Mr. Clerk of Council.
We all thought you said
Thompson.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clerk.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson, the second by Councilman Butcher, the table, 161. The liquor store will still be open for Thanksgiving.
No guarantees after that, Mr. Chairman.
Please vote.
Done.
I believe there was also a discussion about tabling one.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson and second by Councilman Butcher to table 162.
Yes.
All right, please vote.
And Mr. Chairman, for members of the public, of tabling these ordinances is to allow the Public Safety Committee to consider them and to give a recommendation to the council. And as soon as that happens, they'll be considered by the council.
All right. That motion carried with 5 also. Mr. Thompson.
Authorizes an encroachment into the city's public right-of-way at 3150 Artist Taylor Drive as more fully described herein, and to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute an encroachment permit with Southern Hills Neighborhood Association, Inc.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair on 163. There's no discussion, please vote.
Ordinance 164, authorizing 3 cooperative endeavor lease agreements of the city-owned property located in Ledbetter Heights in Caddo Parish to one or more entities managed or controlled by the Housing Authority of the City of Shreveport or any of its subsidiaries for the development of the Bayou Grand Housing Initiative.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Green and second by the chair. There's no discussion, please vote. And that
Ordinance 165 has already been defeated. Those are all of the matters on the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any matter on the table agenda to be removed from the table.
All right. No property standards, no ABO appeals, no other appeals, right, Mr. Thompson? And that's a no.
Yes, I think it's enough.
Are there,
No other appeals, right?
Right.
Okay.
if there are there any reports from officers, boards, or committees that you
Basically, I just, we'll have a date for the Public Safety Committee meeting probably after Thanksgiving.
All right. Sounds good. Let me push it after Christmas if you like.
Yeah, we may have it first of the year, I don't know. I want to make sure we can celebrate New Year's.
Done. I might have to make a late run. I've been working late these years. That'll work.
We got a lot of tax dollars coming in over the holidays, so let's not interfere with that.
Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I made a request yesterday regarding the Smart Emerging Business Task Force. I want to hold that meeting on the 25th. Since we're not meeting, I want to hold it at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock? Yeah. And if the chambers are available, I want to use the chamber. And I will get with you and we'll notify the committee members. Okay. And the public as well. Yeah, I'll share that as well. Mr. Chairman, I have a very involved, distinguished individual from my district. She asked me a question. I couldn't answer it, but I'm going to ask Ms. Rogers to come forward for a minute. It may reference, Chief Raymond, it may reference something that.
Ms. Rogers go put her notice in on time from now on too. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
She's a hard worker,
Got to be in by 3, Ms. Rogers.
She's a very hard worker.
And I don't start the meeting on purpose. I get jumped on every meeting because I don't start 10 minutes after. So
I will follow.
All right.
What was your concern, Ms. Rogers?
Vice Chairman Nicholson, Mayor Perkins, and staff. Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. A gentleman earlier referenced the liquor stores at the end of Linwood Avenue, and I believe Bert Coons. My purpose for referencing this, and this refers to Ordinance 161 and 162, and the closing of those stores at 9 o'clock, or maybe just a little later, 10 or 11, but no later than that. My reason is Right Way Liquor, situated at 1750 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, was the latest homicide in our area just last week. I emailed the chief's secretary concerning this because this is a second homicide at this location within the year. If we pull the records, I believe it's more than 6 years ago. It was a different council, but I addressed that council and let them know that within the 4-mile stretch of MLK, there are 9 spots within my community. The same distance from Kings Highway to 70th Street, there are approximately 3. I don't have the updated information. I don't have the investigative reports, but I'm almost certain this is the second death at this location, primarily due to the loitering. And the only reason I wanted to address it, I have had those persons in my community, citizens, who are stating that this needs to stop. Situated directly across from Right Way Liquor is the Harley Davidson. They have a club, okay? And they have come down. They've gone to the police department to sit for a sign for loitering on their property due to the spillover from this property. It is near homes and other businesses within the area. We hate to see or have problems with businesses. However, when it becomes a problem of value of human life, then we must speak up. When I came 6 years ago with ministers from my area, they did stop A&Y Quick Stop. If you go from Hillary Huckabee, King's Liquor, A&Y Quick Stop, Low Mart, Quick Pack Grocery, High Low Grocery and Liquor, King's Grocery, Right Way Liquor Stores, Sam's Chevron on the corner, and also Brookshire's across the street, which is technically, basically where we end. 9 different spots. We do want the jobs Mr. Martinez was talking about, okay, in that location near us. But so many of our citizens are inebriated. We don't need that much liquor within our community. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Any questions? Just hold one second. Chief, can you come in for a minute, please? Come up. I'm sorry. Just.
Councilman Nicholson wanted to address Ms. Rogers also. And
Well, I'll let
he just want to support it.
You know what I'm going to say, Mr.
I know
Chairman,
what you're going to
I'm gonna
say.
say it nonetheless.
But I'm against it, so.
Chief, we communicated regarding this incident. We did. And I thought your response was appropriate for that minute. Is there any latest on that situation?
We don't have any leads that can be publicly discussed. Now, I did talk to the case investigator. He shared some additional information with me that I really wouldn't be privy to share in a public setting. Internally, we do have some leads as to what happened and who's responsible. It's proving what we believe we know that it's going to be difficult at this point.
Let me ask you this, and don't make a statement, because my community, Queensburg, in 1991, you wasn't on the force then, but the citizens took a responsibility in deterring this type of activity, and I tried to express this same sentiment to my constituents. Is there anything you can do about loitering on private property?
Not if the owners of the property don't ask for our assistance, we cannot.
So the congregating on that property is free if the owner doesn't
If the owner
protest
doesn't
it?
have, right, it's, you know, it's not illegal if the owner doesn't call police and ask for our assistance to remove that element.
So, do you know whether or not there were surveillance cameras posted around that business?
There were cameras, but they did not catch.
That incident?
We didn't get the incident. We got portions of the incident, but not good video.
I mean, are they adequately, are there enough cameras to you think would surveillance that area?
I wouldn't be able to say factually whether there's enough cameras. I think the fact that we didn't get what we needed on the surveillance cameras, my state would have to be, they could be better surveillance cameras. Yes, sir.
And that may be a part of the discussion we meet as regards to these establishments having surveillance that would adequately take up the space.
And I think part of that discussion, if I can, is we brought this up in our last command staff meeting, that we'd like to do more training. So even residences and businesses that have cameras, we often find that they're not pointed in the area that a police officer would say it needs to be pointed. For example, we have citizens that have cameras that point down at bushes by their house. The argument from the citizen is, well, I want to see if someone's hiding by the bushes. Our perspective is nobody's committing a crime hiding by your bushes. They're committing a crime when they break into your vehicle or kick in your front door or something like that. So maybe a little more of a education on our part towards businesses and citizens as to take the cameras you have and help you better appropriate what area that you're actually videoing.
Good. And my last statement, Chief, and you want to respond, but it's directly to the community in my District A. And the reference that I'm going to use is that at the height of gang violence, crime, in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, Queensboro was the hub of that activity. We citizens came together and created an organization. We didn't call police, we didn't call government. We took it upon ourselves to deal with the ills and the detriment of our community. Now, I'm just asking if the citizens feel like there's an establishment in their neighborhood that is crime infested and detrimental to their neighborhood, they need to take action. Loitering is not your purview. And protest that establishment, because if they're not doing business, they don't stay in business. So if the citizens would take initiative and not want government to always solve that problem that we can't solve in a way, I'm pro-business just like anybody else. But I'm also pro-citizen in the fact that if there's something that's harming my community where government can't fit in, I would initiate that initiative to move to eliminate that hazard from my community. And I don't know if you agree with that perspective, but that's how I feel about some of these issues.
I do. I agree 100% that to continue to decrease crime rate in the direction that we've been moving, we've been trending downward for several years, but at this point, it's going to take community involvement. And, you know, there's only so much that the law enforcement can do, and a lot of what needs to be done at this point is going to be outside of the purview of law enforcement. It's really going to be upon the citizens, civic organizations, religious organizations to work together to put pressure on some of these groups that continue to operate outside of the legal of the law. And I'm actually attending a meeting Thursday in your neighborhood, and that's some of the things we could discuss.
And I appreciate that response because, again, you are, I mean, as regardless of what people may believe, you are in some ways limited to directly affecting business operations if they're not violating the law. If they're violating the law, you're there.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Right. But some of the action of business owners and allowing certain activities to go along on their property contribute to some of this
this crime. that-
Certainly,
that
and,
happens.
and along with that same conversation would be that there were witnesses to what occurred
There
that
were
have not,
witnesses?
that have not come forward, that have not been cooperative in their statements.
You're
And that's-
sure that witnesses witnessed this incident?
There were witnesses, yes, sir.
And they refused to participate or to?
Well, we don't believe they're as cooperative as they could be. We don't believe we're getting as much information as we could be getting.
And that's not good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Councilman Bradford. I will take this back to the community. And my interest here was the fact of trying to close the stores earlier, which might circumvent some of the crime. But I will take it back. And to the chief's credit, he did send his lieutenants and some of the staff from that department to talk to us about the liquor licenses and the time frame. That's why I knew from 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. So that was my point, was to make sure that you consider closing them earlier. Okay, thank you.
But not at 9 o'clock. Councilman Nicholson.
Well, Ms. Rogers.
10 or 11.
Look, I know we've had some healthy jesting about the proposed legislation, but I do want to thank you for being here. The loudest voices in response to the proposed legislation, of course, have been the liquor store owners that make their living selling liquor. I appreciate that you called to the council's attention the fact that your community is saturated, oversaturated with liquor stores. And I want to say again that if 3 other members of this council will join me in voting to close liquor stores at 9 p.m., I'm willing to do that. And if I have to compromise at a later time, I will. But what is good for my community is good for your community. Yes. And so if I don't have liquor stores open all hours of the night near my house and right next door, I don't want them next door to your house. And so I hope that you and other citizens will express your concerns to members of the council and make clear that you support this legislation, because it would be good for you and your people. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay. I had Councilman Butcher, but I think he wanted to address.
Yeah, I had a question for Chief Raymond.
Okay.
If he's still here.
Yeah, he's coming. And Councilman Bradford, I'm gonna share some information with you also. Maybe you and Ms. Rogers on the store that was in my district. Maybe I just passed that information to you. That was Pinky's liquor store, and we were able to get that store closed.
Over in that's
Off of Milan.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay.
That's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Chief Raymond, it's been described to me that the city council pretty much is the commissioners of alcohol for the city of Shreveport. Is that kind of correct?
I believe you have overriding authority in the matters concerning alcohol permits and things of that nature.
So,
Yes,
so if we can identify a certain specific store, similar to what the lady just described to us, as maybe people partaking of alcohol and hanging around outside and open container and things like that, can you, as the police chief or whoever your designee is, come to the city council and say, look, we're having problems, we've warned them. I know you said you can't run them off, but if you know, if these citizens are coming to you and telling you, look, these people are out here drinking, they're hanging around, it's a dangerous situation, can you come to the council and then we could limit those stores' hours as opposed to doing a blanket? Could we do the problematic stores similar to what Councilman or Chairman Bowman said? You know, and I think we did that with the bar downtown here, or we're looking at doing something like that with the bar downtown. Is that something that the police department could do, or is that going to be
something
difficult?
I'd have to reach out to Ms. Krill. I believe that you have the ability to withdraw permits. I don't know about the ability to enact specific provisions outside of what's in the ordinance for all stores on a case-by-case basis. I'd have to ask a legal opinion on that.
I would have to research that. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Well, and that's just a question. You know, we kind of did that with the Kings Highway and Gilbert store. I hate for and I know we're still open-minded to this, and we're going to have some discussion in the Public Safety Committee. But I hate for us to cast a blanket over all liquor stores just to take care of a few that are being problematic.
Right.
But I definitely think that that's something we should look at if these are persistent problems, and we have citizens that are telling us that these liquor stores are letting these people hang around out there drinking and getting drunk and rowdy and all that kind of stuff. Then I think that the council and the police department should take action to limit that, especially if it's a persistent problem. 2 homicides in a short period of time obviously is a problem.
Yes, sir.
So, thank you, Chief.
Certainly.
If y'all let me know, I mean, Ms. Krill and Chief, if y'all kind of let us know, maybe have that ready for the Public Safety Committee.
Certainly.
That'd be nice.
When is the public safety committee?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know, you don't know.
Coming up.
It's not tomorrow,
After
is it?
Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving, after New Year's, I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
I'll have something to you in advance.
Thank you.
Agent Cisco will be real helpful on that.
Yeah.
Also, so-
Oh, yeah, that's where I plan to start with my
Alright.
research.
All right, are there any other reports from officer boards and committees? Seeing none. Mr. Thompson, that's the clerk's report?
Ms. Jones, for the record, has the mayor withdrawn the Ms. Beckett as airport director?
Yes, sir, that's correct, and we are waiting for the committee of the airport board to make another recommendation.
That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Councilman Green.
How did I go out and stay an hour when y'all still in here?
Waiting on you to get back.
Oh,
You know, we do have a request for the city attorney to go into executive session, as we discussed earlier.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
could I recite a motion?
Please.
A motion to go into executive session pursuant to LSA RS 4216 and revised statute 42:17A2 to discuss the following matter: Larry Cunningham versus City of Shreveport et al., docket number 5:17-CV-01056 in the United States District Court.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Bradford. Second by Councilman Butcher. All right. Bye.
No, you need to go.
Yeah.